Haseeb Awan, CEO of Efani Secure Mobile, protects celebrities and high net worth individuals from phone hacking. A YC alum and telecom engineer, he also co-founded a major Bitcoin ATM network. His work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and Hulu. It's great to chat with you again, Haseeb. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Sophie. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So I've heard your story before because we presented this at one of our O1 retreats, and it's a really exciting story. So I'm just going to get into it and say, let's start at the beginning. Where are you from and what inspired you to come to the US?
So the inspiration was I couldn't come to US without a green card, and I'll get into that in detail, right? What happened was, so I had no option, but if I have to come to US, I have to get a green card, and because the border officer decided that I am misusing my visa, which wasn't true, but he said, you come to US too often, and so we are canceling your visa or something. But other reason was that one time when I'm studying in Canada, I got on a bus, it said Niagara Falls, and I got on a bus and I slept on the bus. And when I woke up, I realized I'm in the US, Niagara Falls. So on the border, right? So since then, pretty much I got marked, and every time I used to go to border, I was randomly checked every time, right? So they thought they had to go through the same question again. Why did you end up in US illegally? I said, I didn't end up in illegally. I just slept on a bus, right? And I didn't know there were two Niagara Falls in the world, right? I just knew there's one Niagara Fall in Canada. And so that was the history, right? And then because of that, my profile was flagged on the border. And then I attended Y Combinator here, and they believed that I was in some violation of visa. Because this visa does not grant you because it's like with subjective, and I'm doing a business here because I have a corporation in the US. So they said, it's the B1, B2 visa. So you miss your visa, so we are banning you for 10 years to come to US. So I was given two options. One was either we will ban you for 10 years or write down on paper that I'll never come back for 10 years or something. And I said, okay, that's absurd, right? So anyways, my visa was revoked, and I spoke to my lawyer, and they say, okay, man, this is time for you to green card. And so I applied for a green card. Luckily, I got very lucky, got my EB1A approved in 7 days. And then I was told that in order to keep a green card, you have to stay in the US. That's okay. What the hell is this? Why do I need to stay in the US? I thought it's like a green card that I can use anytime. That's my image of a green card. That basically stays with you for an entire life. It's like a pass, like you can come into US.
Right. It's like you just think of a passport. You can come in and out anytime you please.
Yeah. That was pretty much my concept, right? But they said you have to move to US. So I was very much broke at that time because I was in crypto, and crypto markets were really, really down at that time.
Oh yeah.
So I remember I drove from Toronto to San Francisco because I couldn't pay my flight ticket. I thought to buy a ticket. I have some luggage. I have like 3 people with me. So it was costing me like a lot of money. So I thought, let me drive. So I drove from Toronto to San Francisco in 6 days. Only 6 years ago, right?
Oh.
6-7 years ago. Today, I run a company. We have 23 employees, right? We do multi-million dollars in revenue. And so this is the only American team that you can have, right? I've heard this story multiple times. And I say to people that I used to hear the stories, right? People will come to US with like $1 or $100.
Yeah.
And they will make a fortune in the US, and that's the American dream. So, and I never believed those because I thought it's like, fairy tale stories, right? Yeah. But an example of that, right? I basically did it myself. And if I tell my entire story, people think it's making up, right? But actually it happened. Like getting into Y Combinator.
Can we just double down on that? You literally fell asleep on the bus going to Niagara Falls and opened your eyes in the United States, being hassled by Customs and Border Protection.
Absolutely. A lot of people listening who listen. So one time I came to Canada as a student from Pakistan. I'm Pakistan, born in Pakistan. I went to RIU, and I said, one day a friend said, I want to meet you. And I said, okay, I can't get a US visa because my visa was declined. Because they believe I don't have enough ties to Canada and anywhere. So obviously I was a student. So I said I can meet you in Canada. So he said, okay, I'll meet you in Niagara Falls. I'll drive from US. I'll meet you in Niagara Falls. And I said, okay, that's perfectly fine. And then I sat on the bus, and it was super early in the morning because that was cheapest bus, I think like 6 o'clock or something. But I sat on the bus, and I ended up when they stopped me at the border, and they said, "Why did you enter the U.S. illegally?" I said, "I didn't enter the U.S. Like, I actually have zero plan." They said, "Where's your passport?" I said, "I'm absolutely have zero passport. Like, I don't have passport. Like, who travels with the passport? I'm just domestic. Like, it's like a local bus." And it was horrifying because they thought they were like they I was scared like a lot because they said they'll cancel my student visa. I said I'll be banned in the US and UK and like every major country for like next 10-20 years. Like I will put in a jail. My family doesn't know anything. I wanted to call my family. They say, we can. I couldn't even contact my friend. Like he was just waiting. Like, okay, this guy, like, did he ditch me? Like, what happened?
Yeah. He's like, I want to go see the waterfalls.
I know. I was terrified, right? And the worst part is, so the officer told me, okay, I can let you go. Like, imagine, but where will you go? Like, like you can't go back to Canada because you're literally out of Canada right now. So how can you enter back into Canada,
Oh my
right?
God. This is like one of those movies where they get trapped in the airport for years.
I know. That's like, like every kind of thought was coming. He says, okay, do your family? Says, no family. Like, like I was like, and they were asking the same question again and again. Like, why did you enter US illegally? I said, I literally, I didn't want to enter US illegally. I literally set up a bus, right? And to a point where I thought that I'm actually trying to enter illegally. Like, they make you believe, okay, man, like, like I haven't committed a crime, but they ask you so many times that, and you end up
like start believing that you're guilty of something.
yeah, like I may think that okay, man. They said you're alien, like alien, and like alien was the alien term for me too, right? Like alien, you're alien here, like okay, what is happening and everything, and what was the purpose of you illegally entering it? Like you basically, it was tough because they were fingerprinting me, like taking me in the room, and I was like, okay, I'll take my mugshot taken and everything. So that was very terrifying.
How did you get out of that situation?
I don't know. Like, they asked me the same question. I think they let me out after like 3 hours or 4 hours of integration. They said, I think that's fine. You can go back. But you say, remember, you don't have a passport, so you can't enter Canada. So when I entered
To Canada? How'd you do
no,
that?
I can't make it to Canada. So there's the Rainbow Bridge in
Yeah.
Niagara Falls. So I was literally walking on the bridge, right? They said, can you give you a cab? That was very confident, like, okay, a cab will take you from Canada. And I said, how much is that? It's like $20. I said, I don't have $20. I'll just go by walk. So I literally walked on the street, on the bridge. I went back. They asked me what happened. I told them this will happen, and they started laughing. And said, okay, that's not a big deal. They just touched on my name and everything, and they let me go. But that
Immigration's so much nicer than U.S. immigration.
I know. It was kind of like I have a lot of immigration stories, right? But I know it will take an hour to tell every funny story about like what happened. Because then my name got marked, right? So everyone will ask you, why did you try to enter the US illegally? And I said I did not try to. Like it makes it frustrating. Yeah, like every time we go on a border, and I remember when I was filing my Canadian, I'm also a Canadian citizen because so I was.
Now you're just collecting passports at this point.
Well, you never know when you needed them, right? Because after that COVID hit, right? So when COVID happened, what happened was they were saying, okay, only citizens allowed. So I always thought like Canada and US are like kind of the same country, right? Now make a joke of 50 straight.
Right.
But it was like, okay, Canada and US were like kind of pretty much same, right? There's no like a difference. But then they're all our citizens only. And then I realized the power and ownership of citizenship. And the day you get a citizenship, it's a different feeling. You're holding a passport and you look around and you think, I'm among those. Like this is my country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a totally different feeling. I still remember, like, when you take allegiance of an oath, and now you look at the flag, you look at it in a different way because you have taken an oath to defend the flag.
Right.
So it's a different feeling for me because now I believe, okay, man, this is my country. So someone asked, okay, why do you? So after that, I voted, and I was like emotional because I'm voting for the president. I'm voting for like the next government. I'm voting for elected officials, right?
Yeah.
And I'm walking into basically saying, but now I look at flag sometime. I look at this is a flag I took anything to defending Constitution, right? This is basically my responsibility now. And a lot of people who are born in the US, they don't realize that.
Take it for granted, yeah.
Yeah. But I still remember that. Again, this is something that whenever I look at a flag, sometimes I just remember, man, this is the flag I should defend. Right, like imagine if US has to go on a war sometime, I have to like say, okay, man, I'm picking a war, I'm thinking of, because when you grow up in Pakistan, it's like kind of a different country. Like you look at US as a different country, any country now. But yeah, 6 years ago, I drove to US. 6, 7 years ago, I drove to US by car. Now I run a company. We are uh, very well established. Like, we work with thousands of clients and everything. And I think that's only possible in the US. People don't realize like how blessed they are when they're born in the US.
Tell
And
us, what should we not take for granted for those of us who are born here?
I think the freedom is the number one part, right? Freedom is number one part. Like whenever voting comes in, I always try to vote as much as possible, right? Because it's a conflict. Like I think, I don't know, half of the world right now just fighting to get the right to vote. Like just the option to have an opinion is massive, right? Like, so if you think about it, right? Like you are not allowed to express your opinion.
Yeah.
And you know how that is tough, right? A lot of countries do not allow you to vote. Like you don't make the constitution. Like democracy is certainly flawed. Like there's a lot of flaws in everything, but ultimately it works. Like people decide what they need when they want. And so I'm collecting my mayor. I can talk to my mayor. I voted for you to do this thing. Why are you not doing this thing, right? Now again, they may not listen to me. That's part of the but ultimately I'm deciding on something, right? I can have a constitution, and if you look at constitution in the US, I read the entire constitution. I believe 99, I don't know, 99% of the US Americans would not have read the constitution. I read the constitution twice, right? Because when you're preparing for the result and they give you a constitution, it was just interest. And there was something like, freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And I think they were like, you have a, right to be happy, and
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, like look at life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Like, like I'm pursuing, I want to be happy, right? And like, how many countries would have thought that? Like, look at founding fathers and everything. Like I'm sitting in a country that allows me that I can pursue happiness. So this is not a simple thing. Like, when you look at all the content, and again, I may have a lot of concern about, but I have a system to follow. This is system. You follow the system and you'll be successful. Like I live in the Bay Area. Like, why Combinator took a chance on me? They took a chance and they gave us money. Like I read some. So you guys have a scheme. It's a scheme that you can come from anywhere in the world with your own ideas, and people will give you money without knowing you to build your dreams. Like it does not happen anywhere in the world.
It sounds so crazy when you put it that way.
Yeah. You have any idea.
You come here with no money, nothing.
With your own idea.
You have your own idea, this dream. People who don't know you give you money.
To build your dream.
To build your dream.
Like how stupid this is, right? Like this does not work anywhere in the world. Like, this is kind of a scheme that does not exist anywhere in the world. Your idea, your dream, nothing, you just come to a place and there are people there will say, okay, here's the money, take the money, build your dream. And if you're successful, just pay us.
Okay.
And if you fail, it's perfectly okay.
If you fail, we'll give you more money next time.
We'll give you money next time. Like this does not happen anywhere in the world. My dad will not take a chance on me second time.
Wow. Yeah.
But people who are unknown to you will buy your product. Like, today someone will buy my product. They're using, like, as of right now, there are thousands of people who are using our product right now. Like today, like I'm talking to you, like people who rely on our product today.
Yeah.
The people who want to apply, like we apply for a job, people apply. And I've been only in country for 6-7 years, right?
That's amazing.
It's not a lot of time. Like when I look at it, it baffles me. Like I have a lot of friends who lived in like Dubai, wonderful countries, but they at like 20 they have to leave the country because of some reason, because they're not citizens.
Right.
Not this country gave me the money. They also gave me the chances to live here, to build a dream. Like no one can kick me out. I can express my opinion against the place. I can literally go to White House and say I don't like you.
Right.
Imagine doing it in a country like, where they have like dictators and everything.
No.
I'd be thrown in jail.
You'll be toast. It's over.
Yeah. It's over, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wow. So it's kind of amazing to hear your story. Also, because literally all of the crazy struggles that you went through first of like, oh, my B1, B2 visa got rejected. I can't get it anymore. And I fell asleep on a bus and got sent back to beg my way into Canada, and it magically worked. And then you turn it around, and despite even, you had that document where you said, I'm not going to come back for 10 years. But why did you just not give up? Because so many people would be like, oh, I can never go now. It's over. But you kept going. Why?
I think one of these was like options, right? Like, okay, what was the option, right? Like, the thing is, so a lot of people don't know. I believe that once you're a Canadian citizen, and if your visa get rejected in the US, you have to take a visa every time. So like you have to, it's not a 10-year visa anymore. You're like basically this, you have to apply for a visa. So that was like, I couldn't imagine that doing it. Like my business was in the US, right? This was the place to be. Like, when you grow up, like you grow up watching like something like, there's I think like I used to watch Chips cartoon. There was a Chips, like, movie, right? Motor riders, like, and I used to watch that, right?
Yeah, that's like Highway Patrol, right?
Yeah. And when I look at like Highway 1, that was like, kind of like a movie, right? I want to go to Disney World and everything. There was nothing that is more, I grew up more being fascinated. Like, I didn't grow up with like, okay, I want to go to desert. I want to go to like Europe, everything. It was America, right? America was something that was always like, I would romanticize that, okay, this is the place to be. And living in the Silicon Valley, like, I don't believe there's any place in the world that is best to build your dreams, except I'm very biased towards Silicon Valley. I lived in Puerto Rico. I lived in multiple places, but I think this is the best place to build your dreams.
Well, let's talk about that, because I mean, it's not perfect. There's an extremely high cost of living. There's not that much housing. There isn't great public transportation. Everybody's, either pretty much everybody's working in a big tech company, but then there's a lot of founders. Why? What makes this, in your opinion, the best place to build your dreams?
So, I didn't leave Pakistan to live. I came here to build a dream, right? Like, my goal is not to, like, I want to go, like, I want to save money. My goal is to build a company that can serve people, right? Last commune I was talking, like, I think we had like probably 9 million people who used our machines last year. 9 million people. And I started like only 10 years ago. Wow. So think about it, 10 million, 9 or 10 million dollars, some crazy number. And there are 5 billion transactions that happened last year or something. So when I look at it, like, it's the, like, I'm talking, that's probably like, I don't know, that's like a budget or something, right? And you built a company which is bigger than that, right? Something like, I am, like, please don't quote me on like, okay, these are all this, but I'm just saying like, the goal, I never thought big. When I went to Y Combinator, that's when I started thinking big, right? Because I was talking to people like, this is possible, because there's always, people can build companies when it's only illicitly, it's a drug money, it's basically, okay, like, and I was always like, okay, the people who are rich are basically bad people, right? That's a kind of a mentality. They're drug lords or something.
I had to unlearn that. That's a very entrenched belief for a lot of people who grew up without money, because then they think, well, if I was taught to be a good person and I don't have money, then people who, right, like, you just flip it. But it's really amazing to realize that money is simply a tool, and commensurate usually with some sort of value that you've created. So it actually doesn't imply anything about your morality if you have it or not. So it's
but this is the thing. Like, okay, the people who are basically born, they're drug lords, they are basically like, they did something illicit, and like, they were like bad people. Right. But no, you can actually come here, build a very good people that come here that build a value.
Yeah.
And it is again like, again, the money cost was different. Always you have limitations, self-belief, which is very different when you grow up in a big country. Like, you say, okay, like, I just make that, we were talking about Canada, right? Obviously, I'm Canadian, but like, the entire Canadian economy is less than the economy of New York City. So I have two options. So I can either serve entire Canada, or I can just serve New York City.
Wow.
And you can build $1 billion company just by serving Bay Area. You say, I'm not going beyond Bay Area. I'll only have customers in Bay Area. So like 100 miles, and you can build a company. Like, how can you not live here? And the cost, and you're talking about the cost of living. Absolutely. I think the biggest cost is the cost of not doing things.
Yes. How do you remember to think about that? Because that's another one where most of us aren't normally programmed that way culturally to think about that. So do you just have it as an active
Uh,
process in your brain to check in about what's the risk of not doing this?
Absolutely, because I was in Puerto Rico for a while. I left Puerto Rico, but like, there's something about tax benefit because the company was going public, so we did something and I left it. So I could have waited for 6 more months and get my tax credit, but I said, no, this is 6 months is the worst part of time in my life. If
Really?
I 6 months, I'm happy to pay a cost. It's like you say, um, I don't want to pay for like my Amazon servers. It's cost.
Yeah.
It means they're making money. If you're not making money, that's a separate cost. That's a cost for doing business.
Right.
You have salary. This is a cost, taxes and living. And a lot of people say I'm not bullish on California. I said perfectly, that's fine. Unless you're saying that we can replicate the weather of California anywhere in the world, I'm still bullish on California. Tell me a place where you can be like, go to, like, I can literally go on a bike ride, Alameda County, like, Alameda Creek in like maybe 10 minutes, right? Okay, I want to ski. I want to go to Tahoe in 3, 4 hours, right? I want to go, I have a conference in Vegas, I want to, conference in Vegas. I'll just fly in the morning. I'll be there in the conference, come back in the evening, right?
Right.
Like, how do you find this place? Like, I don't know, this is a kind of a cheat code in the world to live in the way, and the people are so humble. You can literally walk up to somebody like, there's famous saying that everyone in Silicon Valley wants to be look as cheap as possible, like as poor as possible, right? While there'll be people who will be like taking a BART, like for people who are on like a bus service, right? And like a train service, and they'll be like a multi-millionaire, right? They don't even care about. While if you go to LA or something, again, I'm not like trying, people would
The
be
cultural
like,
difference.
people will be taking loans to buy Lamborghini, right? Like
Right.
no one will ask you anything which can't be right. The only thing, what have you built?
Right.
That's the only thing that they will not ask you what's your name, what's your citizenship, what do you do. They only say what are you building right now, and that's the conversation. When you are surrounded by so many people, so I may have a peak of like I would say like let's peak this, imagine the peak in like 25 to 45. I'm just making up a random number. It could be like 30 to 40 years. So imagine I don't live in Silicon Valley. So hypothetically, I save like $5,000 per month. Right? I'm just making up a number. So if I don't live there for 22 years, I'll say $1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
I just need one chance to basically make up for $1.2 million. Like $1.2 million, and you will never come back to California, right? That's a lot of cost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, imagine, so if I say, I'm giving you $1.2 million, but you never ever come back to California, never do
Oh,
business
no
here.
way. Uh-uh.
Clearly. So, a lot of people talk about remote culture and everything, and I think that's like, like that's a made up things to basically satisfy your personal ego. But I know everything will work, but great minds have to work together. You know,
Yeah.
you have to discuss ideas, you have to talk to people, and there's no density of anywhere else in the world. Like US is obviously like the heart of the innovation. Like now we can argue a lot about it, but the thing is, it works for a lot for immigrants because we can build our team. And again, it's a scheme. It doesn't like if I go to China tomorrow, right? I don't even know like China. Okay, I don't speak Chinese. I don't know how the culture works. I will never get integrated here.
Mm-hmm.
But in the US, I can build companies, and that's the beauty of US that people don't realize. We have to go through that immigration stuff and everything. And a lot of people don't realize like how stressful this is, right? I have a lot of friends. Like I got lucky. Like I got my EB1A, like and but
You also worked really hard and you were deliberately persistent because you knew this just had to happen one way or another. So you just kept going at it. Like,
yeah,
well,
but Sophie, yeah, luckily there's a lot of roles too. Like I remember when I got a Canadian visa, right? I may not have got a visa that day, right? A visa may have got rejected. I may have applied 10 times. Maybe I'm not. I may have given a third time, right? I don't know what. There must be some point of time where I'll say it's enough. I can't take it anymore. But like things were like like I didn't have money. I drove to like I still remember it took me 6 days because I had a U-Haul truck, and it was fun. Like I think I want to do the
you drove a
party.
U-Haul truck from
Yeah,
Toronto
yeah,
to San
yeah.
Francisco?
So I drove
God,
the U-Haul truck.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I remember that, and I think that was one of the best. It was very funny trip because I was with my young son and my wife, and it was very interesting. But again, luck does play a role. Yeah, like, I could be born with, like, I could be born blind. The fact that I had eyes is basically a blessing. It's a luck. So a lot of things have to go in your favor for
Yeah.
everything to work out. I could have started my first idea, and the first idea our Y Combinator application could have been rejected.
Right?
So anything could happen, right? I could have died that day, right? What I'm saying when I talk about luck is that a lot of things have to go in your favor for things to work out. Um, that's all I'm saying. So yes, we do work our hard, but is there shortage of smart people who's 100% smarter than me, but he's not in the right location. But because I'm based in the Bay Area, I can basically exploit the local system and do it better.
Right.
Like you may have a Porsche, but what if you don't have a nice track? Like it doesn't matter if you have a Porsche or not. You don't have a nice track.
Yeah.
But if a nice track, you may be able to do better in a Prius than person who's in
it's just stuck in the garage, revving the engine, hoping it can go somewhere. There's a great book about this by an author named Stephen Pressfield. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No, I'm not.
Called and I'll swear it's called "Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be." And he makes the argument, if you're going to be an actor, you have to be in Hollywood. If you're going to be a country musician, you have to be in Nashville. If you're going to be in finance, you have to be in New York. If you want to do startups, you have to be in Silicon Valley. It's just the way it is. And once you get over that resistance, whatever it is, of an immigrant journey or, trying to face your personal fears to do whatever you think you need to do, when you finally surrender to that and put yourself there, amazing things can start happening because you've made the first move. And now all these luck, blessings, appreciation, synchronicity things can start to happen.
Yeah, one thing very unique in Silicon Valley I've noticed is that there are people who conspire or basically come together to make you successful. Like if you come to a city and they're trying to be successful, there's people who will actually come and help you out to be successful.
Yeah. Is that not the case? Wait, Haseeb, I'm so in it. Is that not how human nature is? Is that
no? That's not actually. We live in a bubble, right? It's not the case, right? If you feel like people, oh, how did he made it, right? Or what can I do though he doesn't be successful, right? But in Silicon, it's a different story. Like people come, they help you out, and they disappear.
That's beautiful. It's true.
Yeah, like I have a lot of people, right? Like I literally, like I'll give you an example. Like I have probably a list of dozen people, and they don't even know what impact. So I'll give you something like a Paul Graham, right? PT, right? Like like our Godfather, like all startups, 5,000 companies. They have 20th anniversary. He doesn't even remember most of the companies, right?
Yeah.
But you can't really see that is based on an institution that is generated $800 billion in value, right? They're $800 billion in value. Like the US, like Silicon Valley, just to have that. And they're like, this is one person, but they're like 100 people. People will take a chance on you to get your first job, right? Like I'm sure like own letters comes in. I write own letters for people who basically deserve. And I don't even know who they are. Like I basically look at, I say, okay, man, this person needs to be here. Like I don't want, like it's not like, oh, can you give me $100? I'm writing your own letter.
Yeah.
No one asks you for that. People will make introduction for you. But if you go to a different city, they're like, okay, what's my commission, right? Like a lot of people will ask you, oh, like what is in for me? And here people say, you win. The city has to win. And again, this is something that is mind blowing, and people don't realize that unless they live here, about that how much everyone in the city will try to help you out. They will go out of their way. People will be so generous, and they just want to be successful. And the only thing they care about, what are you building?
Yeah. Because here the mentality and the ethos and the culture is like, well, any one of us could strike it big, and we would want the help and support, and so we're happy to offer it to everybody else because there's no shortage of it. We could just keep helping, and we could all be billionaires. There's no limit on how many.
Absolutely. Like like why can't because this is again the city. I'm sure going through immigration, people need EB-1A letters, right? Like people want, okay, like I know a lot of people who will, oh, my H-1B is expiring, so can you just, people hire you to save the H-1B, right? And they will not I would ask you for the okay, I'll write you open letter, right? Like I come across open letters from like top. I said, how did you get to end up getting open letter from this guy? Because people will be able to do it. They are happy to put their name behind it. They're happy to take a risk on. They're happy to risk their reputation without
Mm-hmm.
knowing you much. And like in my case, like again, I literally I am now, like I'm just thinking like like how is it even possible that you couldn't come to a country where you can basically you can buy like economy ticket, and
Yeah.
6 7 years ago I can actually take a plane that I want at my time, a charter plane, and go back to where I came from. Like like it's kind of a stupidity, right? And a lot of countries, like you go to Europe, uh, and basically you will never get a citizenship. Like citizenship is something,
Yeah.
it makes your job a lot different. Like it makes your perception of a country different. If you, um, it makes you
Some
appreciate.
people don't want to get US citizenship because they're like, well, I'm going to have this 100 million exit. I'm going to leave. I'm just here temporarily to make money. But you decided to go all in.
I decided because obviously taxes is something that is very thing, but I think it's a cost of doing business. Like you pay a dividend or you basically pay a cost to do thing, but also I just want to permanently think. I just want to say, I got lazy while I was applying. It took me an extra year to apply. But I think it just makes your life much different because most thing was you cannot be away from more than 6 months. It's always okay. You have to keep track of it.
Right.
And I've traveled too much, like so I have to keep a track of every. So that was one of the reasons I want to keep track of my travels because travel so much. Okay, every time you come back, you know which country did I go to. Like you have to keep track of data and everything. Yeah,
Days.
yeah. So that was one thing. I remember when I was applying for my Canadian citizenship, I had 71 entries in 3 years.
Oh,
71 entries, right? So I have to go through all of them. And even in Canada, like last year, I went to like 26 countries. So I have to note down each and every country. Like one day I left, one day I came in. And so, but again, so I'm sure like there's a lot of people that you have helped them build companies, right? That's a
yeah.
net positive, right? Yeah, incredible people, right? Like, they came and they just wanted a chance.
Yes.
Give me a chance to build for US.
Yes. They very much have things in common with your story. They grew up romanticizing US culture, usually in love with California or New
Yeah.
York, right?
Yeah.
They feel more at home with those values that they get through media rather than necessarily the culture they grew up in. Um, they are the type of people who don't just want to have a lifestyle, but they're trying to create something in the world, like make a dent in the universe, like Steve Jobs said.
Yeah.
And then it just, the logic takes care of itself. It's like, okay, well, here is the place to be. And then, of course, there's other reasons like people want security, people want freedom. And those are, of course, important driving factors as well. But if you're a founder and if you're wired that way, that type of brain relentlessly keeps
Yeah.
circling around what it wants until it gets it. So it's a healthier thing to direct that towards startups than other areas, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think everything has their own flaws and everything. You can talk about, okay, you have this flaw, or you look at the package. When you buy stuff, you go to a restaurant, you say, okay, I don't like this, but I like this. So ultimately, citizenships are now like, a lot of countries that you can just pay money and they'll give you citizenship, right? Which is fine. There's nothing against it, right? But I just think that um, it's the sense of belonging and contributing to society. That's like I may want to run for election like one day. Like, I will not, but I'm just saying I have the option to, right?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I can honestly I can do that, right? So that is something that is very very unique because not a lot of countries will allow you to do that. And US is obviously you grow up with English, so it's just easy. But I also think that again, there's hundreds of stories in the Bay Area who came with nothing. Like Apple, like Steve Jobs' father was, I think, a Syrian refugee or something, right?
He was what?
Syrian refugee.
Yes, he was. He was. He was.
Syrian refugee, right? And you realize, okay, man, like someone was a refugee, the country said, okay, Like he came to US and he said, I don't have a place to go. Can you just basically like, adopt me, right? It's like someone comes to your home, knock the door, and says, Sophie, it's too cold outside. Can you please let me in, right? You get in and you wake up in the morning and your garden is done, your dishes are done, you have a new car, your house is painted, right? Your roof is all good, and everything is taken care of. And he said, this is magic.
Yeah. Amazing.
I helped someone to get in last night that had a shelter. And the only thing I did, I just said, yes, you can stay in my house. And next thing you do, you wake up and your house is where you want it to be. Like it's better than what he entered with. And that's the beauty of immigration.
Yeah.
And that's impossible. And I guess US is lucky that nowadays we can actually go in the world. I was just thinking, like, what if every embassy in the world goes out and scouts the top 100 talent in every country? Like, there are 200 plus countries. So, like, someone goes to like Syria, or someone goes to like France, someone go to um, Nigeria. Like, they're like, and we say, okay, we'll have an entrance exam for immigration, right? And the people who are like the top 100 people, scientists, like, AI engineers, like, sportsmen, we bring them all to US. Like, why can't we include the top 100?
I literally am writing this proposal to the US government right now that we need a national recruiting for AI talent where we literally identify the top people and say, we encourage you to apply for an O1 visa.
Yeah.
Would you like to come to America?
Absolutely.
It's
Like,
simple.
like, yeah, like, why don't we pick up, okay, if we want to be like number one in every sports, right?
Yeah.
So we pick up, okay, there's a badminton. So why don't we go across the world and we take a trial of top athletes in the world? And whoever secure like number top 10, we pick up all of them. We say you have an O1 visa and no one can beat us for the next 10 years.
Yeah. We recruit for the Olympics.
Yeah. Like we win all the medal. Like we win bronze, we win like, gold, we got platinum, every medal. Now we say, okay, let's get the best talent for like, a car racing. Like I'm just taking up, like there are 100 sports and we say, okay, there's no place on the earth where no one can beat you. And you like how many people do we need 10,000 people. 10,000 extraordinary people across the world who can actually, okay, we produce the best music in the world. So why don't we recruit all the top musicians from all across the world? We have a music competition like American Got Talent. Like why don't we make World Got Talent? And whoever wins the competition become a US citizen. Right?
Oh my God.
Such a simple idea, right? We want to pick up the best lawyers. We want to pick up the best students. Like, like we have an exams across the world. Like, okay, the running competition, whoever runs fast, top tier recruited. Now no one can beat us in Olympic athletics.
Yeah.
The national competition, like, best circus, right? Best chef in the world. Like, I don't know, like, I just think that O1 is such a big, it's like a tool that you can suck energy from every country on the planet where they're picking up the top 100 people. Every year we'll pick up the top 30,000 people across the world. Yeah, like how many people get immigrated to the US every year? How many?
Green cards are about 500,000 students. There's about 1 million any given time. Visitor visas, I think, are a couple million. H-1Bs, there's, maybe 200,000 to 400,000 people at a time on H-1B.
So why don't we have a scheme like, and
I usually have 20K O1s.
Yeah, but I think like at 21, we are basically embassies go at every country, and we have embassies pretty much everywhere in the world. Like they say, okay, we found someone in Luxembourg, right?
Yeah.
Scientist who makes the best cheese in the world.
Yeah.
Let's bet the best cheese in the world. Like, like why is cheese contaminated? Yeah. Like, why do we need to have best champagne from like, France? Like, why don't we make the best winery person, put them in Napa Valley? We have the best weather and make the best champagne.
Oh, I did that. I helped that person go to Napa.
But right now they have to apply. Like I think, like as a company, we should, like a US, just think as a country, and basically we are a company. We go in every country and we apply people. We bring in the people who are the best in the world, across the world, and pick up the top 0.1% across the world. I don't know. There'll be like, and have a quota where no one can beat us in every sport. We look at Olympics. Okay, which Olympics are we weak at, right? And get them all on one visa, and now they're American. So
no, I literally wrote this. Immigrant recruiting. To create $300 trillion in value, the U.S. government can implement a program where 300 top entrepreneurial minds are given the opportunity to create the next Google or LinkedIn. This can be achieved by having the government recruit and identify the top 1% of talented individuals from around the world, offering them a visa, interview at a consulate, providing a direct pathway to bringing their innovative ideas to the U.S. Like, I literally last week wrote this.
100%, like, someone, and I think entrepreneur is like obviously a big thing, but at the same time, we need,
It could be for everything.
yeah, we can be every single fly. Like, so we want the best cheesemaker, we want the best, coffee, like whoever makes the best perfume in the world,
Right.
and how do like bring the 10 top best perfume makers in the world, and next brand is obviously coming from the US. We don't have to go brand in Europe, and
Right.
but we have to go there and pick them up. Like, someone has to find out who is the competition, like have the best competition in the world, and let's find out the best people in the world. They come here and they have to retain their talent for 2 years. If they win 2 years in a row, they get a passport, like expedited passport,
Mm-hmm.
and then they also recruit and like 20,000 people. How many? 200,000 people in the next 10 years? Nothing. And
Giving me all sorts of great ideas, Haseeb.
yeah. I just think that this is such a, like, again, when I mentioned about scheme thing, it's like you have the best recruitment tool in the world. Like, imagine the best company in the world says we want to hire like top talent. Everyone want to work for them.
Yeah.
Most of the world wants to live in the US. They hate or they like, but they want to come to US. And if you can
Even today, even with all the chaos of all the geo stuff that's happening today, I still think that we're a leading light in the world. What do you think?
I think it's the same thing too, right? So I just believe that so I'll tell you about, like, a lot of countries will chant for, like, this is a very political statement, right? A lot of people will chant for, or death to America. We hate America, right? Or they will go against America. They still want to come here because the issue is that again, I don't want to get into more politics stuff, but at the same time, I believe that US have something that is very rare to find. And it's not perfect, but it's the best package for anyone to live. And we have challenges. And the way to fix the challenges by bringing people who are actually, who can really contribute. I know there's like current governments don't like more people like me, right, from my background. So that's perfectly all right. Like, I understand that. And I've got to, like hate speech is common. Like, I don't want to get into, like, people don't want, because they live in excess and everything. They just discount, okay, this person's probably from this country, and I don't listen to him, even though I came from MIT, right? But it doesn't matter because this person. So I believe that there's no other way to be competitive. The issue that right now is that with internet, the world is flat. So someone can build a company in China, and someone can build a company in US, and when it goes to internet, it's the same thing. So if I'm calling someone from San Francisco, where my cost of living is probably $250 to $500, but someone living in areas where the cost is like $200, we are literally playing the same video game. We're playing the same game, but I have to perform like maybe 100x more because my cost is really high. So I have to follow much more regulation and everything. So how do I compete? I compete that I don't let anyone play on those fields. So anyone who's best, the people have to. So there's no other way to survive because, like, absolutely, you cannot do anything. Like, this is basically, it's a game of survival. If you don't bring those people here, and again, I'm not going against, but like, they may not apply. Like, I know a lot of people, like, they will not go to.
Yeah.
They say, okay, US immigration is complicated. I don't want to go through this, right?
Right.
And they may not have accomplishment, and even with EB1 visa, like, I may have done a lot of things, but I may be at the end of my life in a way that I've already done with Nobel Prize. What else can I do? So you have to find people who are just before Nobel Prize.
People who are hungry still.
Who are still hungry, right? So I think that's where this is the cheat code to stay relevant for the next 100 years.
Amazing. Haseeb Awan, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you.
It was an amazing conversation. There's so much more I'd like to talk to you about, so we'll just have to have you back sometime.
Absolutely. A pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Check out the show notes to learn more about Haseeb Awan and his entrepreneurial background, Efani Secure Mobile, and share this episode with a friend who is thinking about coming to Silicon Valley. And definitely subscribe. And you can look forward to more incredible stories of international founders who have found their way to the United States and made it here.